Good morning or good afternoon or good evening, everyone. And I say to you, welcome back. Can you believe how time is flying? Today we are beginning week 7 and day 1. So thank you for everyone who is participating and watching these videos. It helps me feel that this time is worthwhile. And I know it's not the same as the classroom interaction, which is so important for learning English. But thank you for joining me and trying your best, even though the circumstances are not ideal. And I have enjoyed my interactions with you through email, and I hope at least the feedback I'm giving to you is helpful, and I hope that you are enjoying our topics as well. And so during week 6 and week 7, we are on Unit 10. Unit 10. And this is the last unit in our student book. So for week 7, especially day 1, our plan is to first segment, we're going to check homework in the workbook I gave you at the end of last week. And that one is pages 116 through 118. So we have 3 pages in this workbook, and I'm going to very quickly go over these answers with you as a kind of review. And then today in segment 2, let's move on to lesson C with a little bit more grammar practice. Especially, we're going to talk about the phrases before and after. Before and after. I gave you a couple, well, maybe one example at the end of last week. And so we will talk in more detail during segment 2 about before and after. Segment 3 today, if we can move along according to this plan, let's focus on lesson D, which is reading. And I very much enjoy this topic about free time. And we have had some topics relating to travel. So far, we've talked about San Francisco, Washington, D.C., and in the reading, we will also read about a tourist location in San Francisco. So we'll keep that surprise for later. Okay, so if you are ready, let's turn now in the white-colored Ventures 3 workbook to page 116. And we're starting with lesson B. This is review for conditionals. So remember, we were talking about the word if. And so we mentioned that after if, we need to use the simple present verb form, or we might say the base verb form. Okay, and then in the main clause of the sentence, we are using these conditional if clauses for future time. So if we look at lesson B, we're going to start at the top to check exercise 1. All right. I hope that you had a chance to complete this homework first. If for some reason you have not, maybe at this time you can pause and finish pages 116 through 118. Now, I'll give you a clue that 118 is about lesson C. So I think when we begin lesson C, we can use this as a review at the end of the lesson C. Okay, so let's start with lesson B. All right, let's check together and see how did you do. If we get a few days off, so here is the simple present or base form get, comma, future time we need here, will go to the beach. Again, if we get a few days off, we will go to the beach. So remember the if clause, we are using simple present. And the main clause, or if we think about it, the main action of the sentence, we are using future time. Number 2, Rosa will travel by plane if the tickets is plural, isn't it? So if we think about are or are not, here we have aren't too expensive. In this case, we have switched this order, and if is in the middle, which means the future time is first. Okay, number 3. If the weather is good, comma, we will ride our bikes or bicycles. Okay? Number 4. If is first. If Charlie visits, simple present, San Diego, comma, he will stay with his sister. And number 5, if we don't find a cheap hotel, we won't go to New York. Now, won't is the contraction form for will not. So it's future. So don't and won't. It rhymes. Okay, now let's go below to exercise 2, and we can see 4 pictures here. So we need to make a complete sentence using the information in the pictures. Example number 1. What will Jack do if his friends come over this afternoon? Okay, so we're starting with if clause. If Jack's friends come over this afternoon, comma, they will play soccer. All right. So second question, let's try it and see how we do. What will the Perez family do if the weather is good? All right, starting with if. If the weather is good, comma, the Perez family will, and what are they doing? Take a hike. Will plus base verb. Will take a hike. So with hiking, we say the collocation will take, or take a hike. Take a hike. Sometimes, in fact, take a hike can mean go away or get lost in the slang form. So, okay, number 3 picture. We see a lady. She's shopping here. So, question. What will Stacy do if she has the day off? All right. If Stacy has, if she has the day off, comma, she will go shopping. She will go shopping. You agree? All right. So, number 4 question. What will Robert do this weekend if it rains? Okay. So we start with the conditional. If it rains this weekend, or if it rains, comma, Robert or he will read a book. What about you? If you had the free time, what would you do? Take a hike, go shopping, read a book, or play soccer? So, depending on your personality, what would you do with this free time? Okay, so if we want to ask a conditional question, if you could blank, comma, what would you do? So this question is very common to make conversation in English. So example, if you could take a vacation very soon, anywhere in the world, comma, where would you go? What would you do? Okay, would we're using in the future time. So conditionals, it's not definite, it's a possibility, maybe. Maybe yes, maybe no. All right, let's move on to exercise 3 at the top of page 117. All right. Use the simple present or future verb forms of the verbs. All right, let's continue. And if you haven't completed it, take a moment to fill in the blank and take a guess. Okay, what will you do this summer if you have a few days off? B, if I have enough money, remember we need future, I will visit my family in California. Okay, that sounds fun. What will you do? Base verb. If, here we're using if in the middle of the sentence, so the future is first. What will you do if you, okay, not have, do not, or don't have enough money? What will you do if you don't have enough money? I guess I'll stay home. What about you? Answer. If my brother, conditional, comes, if he comes from Chicago, comma, we will go camping. But if he does or does not, if he doesn't come, comma, I will visit my friends in Houston. Okay. All right. If we did not have the coronavirus, I would have probably visited California this summer also to see my friends. But let's go to exercise 4. Write questions with if and then answer the questions. Okay, so example 1, Brian, do have time off this summer. So information question, what will Brian do if he has time off this summer? He will go swimming. So remember, depending on what question is being answered, what tense, I will answer in the same way. So here we have will, future, and then he will go swimming, answer. Okay, now remember some verb forms like swimming, hiking, biking, we can also use as a noun in the gerund form. So for example, swimming is one of my favorite activities. I'm using swimming even though it's an action as a noun. But if I'm using it with a base verb, go swimming, this is the verb form, action form. Let's go to number 2. Tam and Chan do the weather is beautiful this weekend. Let's combine this idea together. So future, what will Tam and Chan do if the weather is beautiful this weekend? Okay, and answer, they will, and the choice we have here, they will work in the garden. Okay, Now, so I think you might have a question about number 1 with go swimming, because the answer for number 2 is work in the garden. Now, I just followed based on the option that was given here, go swimming. So we could say, if I ask a question, would you like to go swimming with me? So this activity is often in the gerund form. Now, I could say I like to swim, or if I'm using go is connected often with gerund forms. So that's a review from previous chapters about gerunds. All right, let's go on to number 3. Sarah, get some extra money for her birthday. Okay, information question, what? What will Sarah do if she gets some extra money for her birthday? She will, I'm going to follow the same verb tense. She will go shopping. Okay? Simple answer, she will go shopping. Complete answer, she will go shopping if she gets extra money for her birthday. So, which one is more common for spoken English? The long one or the short one? I think you know the answer. So, spoken English, we will probably use a simple answer. For the written English, it's more common to use the longer, complete answer. Number 4, we have you have a 3-day weekend. So, question, what will you do if you have a 3-day weekend? I will go hiking. I will go hiking if there's a 3-day weekend. What about you? And the last one here, number 5, the weather is bad. What will we do if the weather is bad? So essentially, we are adding this real conditional here. And the answer, we will clean the house if the weather is bad. All right. So, how did you do so far? Lesson B, review. Okay. It's more practice, and I hope that doing this extra workbook practice can help you a little bit more with asking and answering questions using this grammar. So, did you have any chance to practice with your partner or someone at home around you? So, I like these questions. Maybe you can answer or practice asking these with your conversation partner. Okay. So, I had assigned lesson C. So let's save this part for later after we begin segment 2, when we introduce before and after clauses. All right. So, pardon me. Now, before we look at lesson C in the Green Student Book, let's do a quick review that I mentioned last week. So, before and after. Let me give a sentence for each one, okay? Now, before we use with a present tense verb, and then the purpose is to introduce the second event, okay? So, example, before I eat lunch, comma, I will go for a walk. What's the first action? I will go for a walk. The second action, eat lunch. Okay, so before I eat lunch, comma, I will go for a walk. So ask yourself what happens first and what happens second. Okay, now after, we also use with the present tense verb to introduce the first event. Okay, so let's change that example. After I go for a walk, comma, I will eat lunch. What happens first? I'm going for a walk. What happens second? Then I eat lunch. So basically, we use these words depending on what order, what sequence of events, what happens first, what happens second. So depending on that, we choose which one to use. Okay? Now, in this case, we are using these words for future tense. So that means that the main clause will be in the future tense. Okay? That's a quick review before we look at segment 2. So, how about you take a moment to quickly skim lesson C, and you can take a moment to listen or watch the video from the Q reader. So take a moment to watch the video. Actually, let me find the page. So we're thinking about Unit 10, Lesson C. We will find it on page 126. And you notice the watch icon here, the Q reader. So at this moment, take a few minutes to watch that, and then we will come back together for segment 2. See you soon.